I've done that a few times. Okay. So, welcome to session 64. It's amusing, this group is now up to 220 sessions all up for Tuesday nights. Jeremy's been around for a while.
And I've done over 1,500 times. Woohoo! That's more than the sessions run. That's twice per session, is that right? Mostly.
Well, it's only 64 sessions, so it's more than twice per session.
Well, I'm just working on the math. You keep working on that and I'll work out the math.
Okay, so tonight, online we have Emerus.
Hi, this is Emerus. I am playing Dimly, the not-so-original Dwarven Son of Gloin. I have kind of explored a little bit more of my healing stuff and worked out that I can heal, which is kind of cool. And I have a shiny relic, which I would like to think is a very small teacup. But, I mean, I don't mind. I just got this image of like a dwarf kind of riding into battle with a teacup between his two fingers, you know?
It's all very cool.
It's an interesting image to put in having in your mind.
And then that brings us to Jeremy.
Yes, good evening all. Playing Nashru Visky, the elven adopted son of Koya, and who has a number of people in her family, a number of children that she's adopted, at least one of which you'll hear a bit later on, who's the goddess in everybody's eyes but her own. But Nashru, he's just the man you need for all occasions.
Well, who would ever need anyone else?
Exactly.
And speaking of the goddess, Grace. You may still be on mute.
I'm Grace. I'm playing Iomi, sister to the annoying little brother that is actually older than her, Nashru.
No one's older than the goddess.
Yes, well, she may or may not be a reincarnation of a dead goddess. Enough strange things happen around her that she is starting to get an inkling that it might not just be that she follows this god. Yeah, she's recently been gifted a relic, which is really cool. The Kami have been very lovely, and she's okay with that. And she's currently feeling a bit conflicted because she is very loyal to her family, and that includes Bug and Splat, and the village we have come to do not seem to like them.
Yes, that is true. And now speaking of...
It hasn't necessarily been the entire camp that we've come to, just the one person, the important person we've talked to so far.
And speaking of tainted people, let's move over to Mark and his character.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm playing Aurori Hanso, the broken one officially. I've been turned into a relic for this purpose of this future journey, and I live on between life and death, on the fine edge of this point of a sword. So I have interesting times trying to work out how I'm going to hold myself together through this whole situation. But considering I'm still innocent in mind, not as much as I used to be, but with the help of my sister kind of thing, in bloodline, Amiko, and the rest of the party, and the annoying little Nashru, I am somehow keeping myself together to make sure my sister gets on the royal throne, or my royal sister. So.
Yes. We
I wouldn't
do.
have said you were keeping yourself together. Other forces are keeping you together.
I'm sure it will be duct tape in the end.
Yes. If you see electric tape, would be lots of wraps and things like that. Yes. I never turn into a mummy. Wouldn't be surprised. So yes.
Yes, we still got to show how his powers work to him. He'll find out when he goes down next time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Somehow, yes.
I didn't say if it'd go down. I just said next time. Yeah.
I expect it will. So.
Okay, so last session had you traveling across the grasslands of Minkai, heading towards a Ronin camp. Just so happened that we have a map of where the Ronin camp is, and where the Forest of Spirits ended. So I'll switch over to maps. So it also has the music panel on there at the moment, so I'll just move that panel to another window. It's not like I don't have enough windows to do things on. And so we have a Ronin camp nicely highlighted here,
Yep.
and the Forest of Spirits all the way over here. So you basically spend a month travelling from roughly where the O is all the way to the edge, and then about a week travelling to the Ronin camp.
Now that was still fairly unsettled, uncivilized area, wasn't it?
It is still fairly unsettled, uncivilized area, because they even have a description of it. If you read down in this section here, it talks about barbarian tribes in that area, and most of them have avoided you.
Okay.
Well, not many things come out of this Forest of Spirits, and nothing that comes out do people actually want to interact with.
Seems fair.
Okay.
So we were in the dungeon for so damn long
Yep.
that my
Well,
brain
24 hours.
just went, why is there no ice on the map at the north? Didn't we go like through the North Pole through all this ice?
You did?
Yeah.
Like have been like coming out of ice?
Yeah, we did.
Because we were in the dungeon for so long, I forgot there was a bloody forest.
And in fact, there was an entire land between the ice and the forest before we got to the forest.
There was.
Yes, and remember how Harori almost got married?
That's right.
Oh yeah, I
That-
remember it all now. It just took me a bit. That dungeon just was our life forever.
I'll never forget that, will I?
Well, you did the hair moment.
Oh, look, I did it for the party.
You took one for the team.
I took it for I didn't. Yeah, no, she wasn't quite old enough to marry yet and say to meet her either, so I had to do it. So even that almost broke. It did actually broke Rory.
You've broken so many times this campaign.
Yes, that was one of the first ones. I think.
Okay, so... and who do we have walking forward with Nashru?
Oh, definitely not.
Well, so I think that initially Harori had tried to go forward thinking he was going to there, but Nasher had tagged along, hidden in the grass type stuff, and when Harori didn't quite make the first impression he expected, Nasher had popped up to rectify the situation.
Nashru to the rescue again?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a sigh there. I'll just give Bruce another apple because that's all we can do at the moment.
And then, yeah. Like, is that the spot we're actually at right now? Or I thought we were talking about. I think she was talking about the chess game or something, didn't she?
Yes, she was taking...
She was going to introduce Nashru to chess.
Yeah, she was going to introduce you to chess while waiting for her master.
Well, yes, certainly Nashru is keen and interested in any such new games of strategy and skill.
Okay, so I'm going to give Nashru a... is there an intelligence-based skill that would suit this? I'll give you a society check to see how well you are at keeping up the small talk with her while she's playing chess.
Okay. Society 33.
33. Okay, basically you realize that while she's teaching you chess, she's also getting information about you, why you're here, your belief system, where you, the elves in general, how elves treat half-elves. She's basically pumping you information while teaching you a game.
What you were discussing there didn't seem to be anything particularly sensitive information, but yep, Nashru has no particular interest with providing.
So she basically gets you used to talking and telling and answering her.
Nashru is happy to work as considering the fact that we were told that by the Kami that we were supposed to try, that these people were likely to help us get through. Naturally working on the idea that after the first impressions that are already provided, we've got to try and make up for that.
Okay, so...
Like the typical older sister that I am,
Yep.
I will, even though I can't understand anything that they're talking about, I'll be standing looking over Nashru's shoulder and correcting his moves every now and again on the chessboard.
And what...
Obviously know how to play this game better than he does.
You look at the game, and the game just seems... you understand the rules. You don't even know what it is they're really playing, all the pieces, but you know the rules.
Yep.
And you don't know where you've seen this before?
I'm not questioning it. I just know better than him.
And Jeremy, you find out that she is a follower of Iori.
Okay, yep. Which
Yeah.
would certainly fit being, or someone who can recognise evil when it's in front of her.
And she is a paladin of that order.
Yep. So, so I'll certainly then asking her as to, like you say, well, provided that talk as to where I come from, where I don't know what myself, I'll be aiming to find out from her what brought her to this location, what's happening around here, current information on the Tian Empire and the Minkai region, recognising that the information that Aurora is providing was possibly a little bit out of date.
She is pretty guarded about a lot of things, but you do find out that she was raised in a fortress in the Senkyadai Mountains, and basically was one of the few survivors of a horrific attack. But basically she has a thing against creatures of nightmares.
Fair enough too.
A personal hatred of hers.
Yeah, I'm staying outside then, looks like it. Yeah.
Amusingly, if I actually read some of the words from here, it's almost identical to how Splat behaves.
Oh dear. I'm glad Annie's not here tonight, I'm really glad.
Yeah. I mean, Nashru will, whilst recognising that Harori is definitely being influenced by untoward forces, he possibly has some good and honour in him.
I'll let you...
Or at least he did.
But she says probably before he was tainted.
Yeah, I think it certainly made a difference, yes.
I'm just feeding Bruce an apple at the moment just to get... Bruce really wants to go in there right now, and I'm just saying, no, Bruce, don't. They need... Let Nashru do his thing, okay?
Okay, so while you are playing and Ayumi keeps correcting your moves, a guy will...
Does Nashru feel the moves are actually appropriate corrections or improvements?
Yes, apparently you've gone from going to be completely annihilated in a game where someone's teaching you the moves of what not to do. Ayumi keeps teaching you, telling you which moves to make that pretty much counters the other person and puts them into a stalemate.
Okay.
So basically you're beating her at the moment. So
by the sound of it, Ayumi's beating her.
And as you're working on this, about a 4.5 foot tall human Tian walks in, long top knot, long bow over the shoulder, katana at the side, and helmet under his arm. So they will...
Right. How tall did you say he is? 4.5 feet?
Yep.
Like a really short guy?
Yeah.
Pretty short. Well, he's average size for a dwarf, what are you saying?
He's
Okay.
human.
Yes, humans are short.
Considering most humans average about 5 feet tall.
What?
In TN.
I was going to say, you remember we're talking Tian here.
We might have to adjust my character sheet then.
Okay.
I had 6 foot.
You are extremely tall, so they think you have more than TN in you.
Well, I do now, yes. I had 6'1" on my character sheet, guys. But,
It's all that good eating you got at Sandpoint when you're growing up.
You grew up eating different foods. I'm sure the foods have everything to do with it.
I'll make
Well, look at it this way. If you have some tall people go into some of the societies that are predominantly short, you stand out almost a head above everyone. So anyone of 6 foot is pretty much a head above everyone else.
Yeah, I did stand out a bit. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Cool.
So and yes, he is a little under height for some of the people you've seen, but not by much. You think with his helmet and the top part of his helmet, he actually comes across taller than most of people. Just because of that.
By the way, he certainly, he's bearing indicates that he knows how to wear that helmet and armour and use the sword under his arm, is that right?
It all looks well used, but in perfect condition.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's being... it doesn't look like a showpiece. It looks like actual field material, but field material of excellent quality.
Yep.
If not, say, legendary quality.
Mm.
Okay, just checking his languages to see what language he speaks to you in. Because that's important. It's like he goes blah 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 blah.
I'm assuming that Nashru and the Paladin have been speaking to him.
They have been speaking TN. He comes in and he actually speaks common because they were nice and gave him a language that other characters can learn and speak. So he says, he greets you both in common with a very thick TN accent.
I will greet him back, but also kind of watch Nashru and the woman and try and replicate the same kind of, I guess, body language and gesture of respect and stuff.
Well, Nashru will provide a greeting in TN, but then switch to common to continue the conversation. Did we actually find out what the Paladin's name was?
Her name was Suta Hatsu.
Okay.
So HH for short.
Okay, good enough.
I'm the
And we
original.
know the name of this guy that we're planning on coming in? Like, we were sent here by the
Kirabashi Jiro, the person you were sent to speak to.
right, okay, yeah. Okay, well. Greetings, sir.
It's okay.
I am Nashru. This is my sister, Ione.
It says, I see you have met Hatsu here.
She's been a most accommodating host,
That she was
very
probably...
generously introducing me to the intricacies of this fine game.
He looks at the game and says, yeah, she was probably an angle mover in a previous life, referring to the game, which is very much chess.
Okay, so there's your bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. So, in the context of what, does that suggest that he's suggesting that she always moves obliquely to her enemy, or that she was very religious in her bearing?
It can mean many things, he
Or
says.
both? Well, no, like I wasn't necessarily asking that, it was more a case of, with Nashru's understanding of TN society and things like that, as to what he would think it was referring to. But
It could actually refer to each individually or all together.
Yeah.
The big thing about how a lot of these people say stuff is,
everything has multiple meanings.
yeah, and they try not to be pinned down on one particular meaning.
Yeah, all good.
Because technically they can all be true.
Yes.
And he's a bit brusque with you, and so he asks, what are you doing so far from home? Looking at both of you, because neither of you appear tin in any way. You're also quite tall, and you are wearing garb not of their people.
Yes, that's right. The Nashu will start to explain as the fact that yes, he's travelled here with his family's caravan, looking to potentially open trade across from the far side of the world. And however, since we've arrived, we've noted that
Iomi sort of says just a little bit too loudly, but like kind of under her breath, like says, "Yeah, we're going to start a rebellion."
well, okay, that she was going on to say the fact that that yes, since we've arrived, we've noted that things were not quite the joyous, happy place that our companion who originated here described, and that potentially a normal trade route may not be necessarily as effective with the current ruler.
He says yes. Trade across the north is sporadic, and the oceans are a cruel mistress. Considering when I finally got to look at the world map, and there's an entire island mass between here and Varisia.
Right.
On the other side of this nation is where Aslanti is, so it's not the Aslanti landmass between here and Varisia. It's a completely different landmass.
Right.
So you don't get the global map very often, so I have to dig up where I found that one.
Yep.
Probably in one of the Lost Omen books.
But yeah, so whilst Nashua is definitely not aiming to describe the fact that we're here to put someone else on the throne, we're definitely implying that the current resident of the throne is not necessarily someone we
Definitely heard Iomi say rebellion.
Oh, I'm not saying it.
And Harabashi, that does look Iomi's way when she says that, but doesn't really indicate anything more than a slight glance. So give me a perception check to see if anyone noticed.
Not there. Don't know.
That was a natural 20.
Wow.
I like those.
They're always good. So you've upgraded your check from what?
So 41.
41. Okay.
Nashua got a 43, but it wasn't upgraded.
Ooh. I've already got a 0 because he's talking to his horse.
So you got a critical failure.
Well, I was going to get my flying helmet to turn into a dove.
You could no longer hear
but I thought, nah, too much effort.
Okay, so while you're talking, you both notice he does notice Iomi say the comment, and Iomi does get the sort of thing of yeah he's heard this all stuff before, he doesn't really believe it sort of attitude, and also the feeling that he's dealt with rebellions in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, the as I say, from our perspective, it's yes, the opportunity to ensure that the people in power are looking after those they should be looking after, and thereby allowing good trade with those from across the sea.
It was the Kami that told us to come here, wasn't it?
I suggested it, yes.
Yes, yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was going to say, that the people of the forest suggested that he might be able to help us in our cause. For good trade.
Well,
Sure.
he says he's more concerned with digging irrigation canals, feeding the peasants under his protection, and playing shogi. So I will give both of you a society check.
So, everything there. Everything in there right now.
I know.
I know. Like, that's right, fair enough.
27 for Nasru. But certainly I'm thinking of the fact that, yes, if he's talking about infrastructure and canal building and things like that, then yes, he's, again, thinking about work that should be done and apparently aren't being done.
So what you get? What did Grace get?
Did we lose Grace? She's on mute still? She's on mute.
Okay, well in that case I will continue on and she'll get back to us. So what you got with your check was pretty much just that. He's making innuendo that the government is no longer providing infrastructure or protection to its people, and that patience and strategy are required before the more deliberate action can be taken.
Well, as I said, that was certainly the impression that having travelled through the lands from the north, that yes, those in charge were not looking after those that they should be looking after properly. So,
Sorry guys, I had the drugs and they had to give me more.
That's all good.
understandable.
So did you hear what they noticed?
No, because there was lots of beeping and keys and asking me questions and stuff.
All good. Then I'll repeat it for you. So what you picked up with your sense motive, with your perception, was that his statement about the canals and feeding peasants was a innuendo dig at the government for no longer providing infrastructure or protection to its people, and that patience and strategy are required before more deliberate actions can be taken. Which is basically how a lot of the samurai talk and act.
Yeah.
He's acting more like a samurai than what you have heard of Ronin, Jeremy. So,
Yeah.
and some of his armor and equipment remind you of descriptions you have read of the Royal Guard.
Okay. But yeah, but certainly, yes, the exhaustion
How
sort of
old
in
does this guy look?
Okay, so going to his picture and page. Nope, that's not him. That's him. Okay.
He's seen a few turnings of the sun.
He looks to be in his 40s to 50s.
So like, the sort of guy that was probably around when Amiko was in the palace as a child sort of thing.
Amiko was never in, Amiko was not born on this continent.
Oh, wasn't she?
No.
Only
Her
me.
father was not born on this continent.
Wow, okay. That shows a real terrible hole in my player knowledge.
It's okay. You
Well-
weren't there at the time. It's okay. So.
And also remember that technically, whilst Amiko is a potential heir to the throne, she's one of 5 families
Yeah.
who rotated the throne. So we don't know which family was actually on the throne most recently. So
Right.
That's all good, and if you want to check any facts, I will happily remind you without hopefully being sarcastic about it.
No, that's fine. I'm fine.
certainly the players will know stuff that, the characters know stuff that we, or will be naturally knowing stuff that we might
Oh,
not know.
Ione knows all sorts of things that Grace has no idea about.
So one of the things Iome has noticed by looking at him, which Jeremy also noticed, is that his armor is that of the Royal Guard of the Emperor. and Iomi picks up places where the insignia of the captain of the guard would have been.
So,
in Draconic, I'm going to say quietly to Nashru, how do TN people address, like, Captain of the Royal Guard?
yeah. So, I'm not certain they necessarily have the same word in Draconic as they would in TN. But,
So in Draconic, the guy responds to you. The Royal Guard was disbanded by the Jade Regent. There is no Royal Guard.
Martin. That was so not the right language to choose. I thought that was the safe one.
Hey, the dragons have had a huge impact on the society of the TN empires.
Chinese dragons. Chinese dragons.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is one of their it is their national heritage as well as one of their teachers. So they have what's called the Imperial Dragons.
Right.
And it's something Iomi is not as familiar with because she's not had to deal with dragons very often.
She's also not been to TN or really doesn't know a lot about TN.
No, the only person is outside at the moment.
Only stuff she's picked up from Party, you know?
Yeah.
Party on Caravan.
Next we will then, okay, follow continue the conversation back in common again, as I say. So, yes. You mentioned the fact that the Royal Guard has been disbanded. Is that possibly what left you this far away from the capital?
Well, there are no more samurai in Minkai. All samurai have been disbanded. There are no guards.
With complete lack of tact, even though she's normally very diplomatic, with a complete lack of tact, she's just going to be like, why?
By royal decree, she says. He says.
Because they decided they don't need protection anymore and they want people to come kill them?
It is not the place of the... It's not the place of the worker to question the Lord when the Lord has made a decree, he says.
That's right. The Jade Regent decided he no longer needed the services of his samurai. Which again is possibly indicative of the current concern with lack of irrigation canals amongst the working folk.
He says the decree came with the mark of the Emperor. Because only the Emperor had the authority to disband the samurai.
So the Jade Regent, the Emperor was still in power when the Jade Regent took over?
Technically the Emperor is still in power, even though a Jade Regent sits at the throne.
Oh.
The Jade Regent is not one of the 5 families.
That was certainly something we got the impression of, yes. But I'm guessing then that possibly no one has seen the Emperor for some time?
For years. No one has seen the Emperor for years. Due to poor health, he says.
Yeah. Yes.
My old master?
No, this is the Emperor.
Oh, no, sorry.
Your master was not the Emperor. You were not one of the elite guards.
I wasn't elite. I was a junior, I do remember that. So.
Okay, so he says...
Do you know which family does the Emperor currently represent at this stage?
He represents no family. He has not been seen.
I sit outside, I just feel
and he says you should probably invite your friends into camp, even though my lieutenant does not like your tainted ones. He says, giving her a stern look. Hospitality should be offered to those in need.
We appreciate your generosity, and yes.
And honestly, Splat's are really, really harmless. He just likes people.
He has dealt with demons before, he says.
I do pledge that even though evil taint will not bring evil intent into this camp.
We shall see, he says. At which point he decides not to send Hatsu out and suggests that one of you two go and get your friends and bring them to camp. Because if the paladin goes out, well, one of you won't be coming back. You all
I'll
the
go
paladin.
out. I'll
Yeah.
get Nashu to do the diplomacy thing. I'll go get the rest of them.
Now, Bruce, I'm sure they're doing the right talking inside there. I said, this is a nice apple out of the bag. I said, it's a nice green one. You'd like the green ones, I think. So,
Green apple thing.
that's okay. But remember, we can't go in there till we get told to come in, okay? I know you want to
Go
go.
in there? Okay.
No, Bruce. I said, no. Well, let's wait for Uncle Nashru to tell us, okay? So,
I'll walk up and be like, it's okay, they're not going to kill you, you guys can come in.
And Bruce turns and looks at you and says, has Nashru changed again? Like you?
no, Nashru.
Nashru never really changed.
No.
I'm going to put my hands on my
He went
hips.
from male elf to male elf. Unlike some people.
All you hear is this horse going, nay. So,
Yeah, I just realised that, which is why I stopped.
Yeah, and it's like I'm going, and I'm talking to the horse and nay.
No, you're talking to it normally.
Okay.
Everyone hears you talk normally, so it sounds like you're always having conversations with your horse.
Okay.
Well,
That's all right.
with yourself. Because obviously the horse wouldn't talk.
Okay. That's all right. Okay, it's okay, Bruce. It's okay. Okay, just be nice. Okay, these people invited this nicely. Okay. Oh, hey. Okay, let's go in there, Romy. And so we better get the rest of them then too. So I'll wait for everyone else to come back from the party and
Okay.
then walking together.
So Bruce is
I
useless
just,
the entire time.
kick my wolf a bit and keep laying down.
Your wolf bites your foot and starts trying to pull your boot off.
I smack him on the nose and then climb back up and lay down on the back and close my eyes.
He does the roll over.
No, he doesn't. I grab him by the neck and lift him upright again.
He starts licking your face.
That's better.
He likes the
I will
game.
follow along.
And every now and then he sees if you're awake enough and tries to roll over.
Wolves like dogs.
Give me attention. I want
So-
attention.
I also tell the helmet, which I've taken off to make sure I look good. I said, don't sprout your wings when we're in here. I said, they're already confused by my appearance already. So let's just try not to surprise them with anything new. And Susan, you're not coming out unless I get asked to. Okay? So let's just no. Let's meet this fellow and then we decide what we're going to do. So I'm just telling all my talkative items just to settle down a bit.
Shursen is strangely silent. Not saying
Because
anything.
the new thing is, your helmet might have gone some way to relay the thieves to the paladin.
I was thinking that because I was actually going to... It actually can turn into a dove now since Martin's... there's an update to the angel thing and it's like, oh, it can turn into a dove, a little dog, a helmet with wings, and a fish. I don't know when I'm going to use the fish bit, but it's like I'm going, oh well, there you go.
Just whenever you want to keep on swimming.
I don't know. So, but I thought looks like a very polished helmet. I thought it'd be nice just to look at.
No. What you haven't noticed is that it regularly turns into a fish just flopping around on your head when you're walking along.
Don't give the DM ideas there, Jeremy. He doesn't need any more right now.
So every now and then he feels a wet fish on his head. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Well, apparently you haven't even noticed.
Well, I don't think did it come down with me down in the dungeon? I can't remember.
No.
No, it didn't want to come. It wasn't allowed to come down. No.
Wasn't allowed to come down.
So I was helmetless the whole dungeon. So
You?
yes,
You hit the Pantene moment the entire way down.
yeah. No, I didn't have the yellow hair anymore. So it's okay. Black now. Back to male hair.
Still can be Pantene hair.
Oh no, it couldn't be Pantene.
Yeah, you saying you don't look after it?
Well, I try to, but I've died many times, so it looks like it's brand new. So don't have to wash it anymore.
Well, his body's only a week old, remember?
Just got lots of scars on it. That's all.
No scars on it at the moment.
Oh, at the moment, yeah.
Yes. Now every time you get hurt, you leave a scar.
That's right, yes. After I get out of the forest, I leave scars. That's right, yeah.
Okay, so yes, everyone slowly makes their way into the place, and you find Nashru having what appears to be a tea service with a samurai wearing amazing-looking armor. It's so indescript, it's not funny, but it looks amazing.
And playing chess.
Yep.
I look at the chessboard,
He's losing
and
badly.
then I look at Nashru, and I shake my head at him,
So 26 on
and I
nobility.
smack him on the back of the head.
So 26 on nobility, I would recognise that armour straight away, wouldn't I?
It's the captain of the guard armor for the Emperor.
I kind of try to seize him. If I ever make contact, if he sees me and makes contact, I kind of bow, respect the captain of the guard. Even though he's not even the captain of the guard.
Well, there is no guard to be captain.
No guard, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying respect him because I know that.
So how much does Naomi fill everyone in on the way?
Oh, she doesn't.
Okay, so yes, you just come in and you met someone wearing captain of the guard armor without being told anything.
She will have talked to Bug about it, but
Not a worry, no.
not Harori and not
Not the...
shit. I almost said Dimly. That the Dimly is right.
It is dimly, yes.
Yeah, we're on Dimly night. Hooray! No, she would have mentioned it to Bug a bit, but she's not like more just out of curiosity than because she feels it's important information that needs to be passed on.
Perception roll with disadvantage for our samurai. To see if he actually hears what's going on behind him.
Well, a 6 and a 7. So based on that So I'm 21.
21?
Yeah.
Okay, you hear samurai mentioned every now and then, but you don't hear the context. They're talking about you again.
Yeah, I think they're talking about me again. But when I see the captain, I go, oh, okay.
And you sort of notice that when you get off your horse, you're more than a foot and a half taller than him.
Oh. Well,
And you notice everyone else in camp
Shorter than
is around the 4 foot mark, and he's taller than most of the people in camp. Besides Hatsu, who's closer to 5 foot.
And I'm going, okay. I won't advance unless I get asked to, because it's respect kind of thing. So, but I'll just go where I'm allocated to go and just.
You're currently wearing equivalent level armor.
With armadillo red eyes on it.
No, the armadillo armor is at the same
level as
the captain of the guard armor.
Yeah, but it has
the same level. It's the same level of respect for people.
No, I don't understand that, but
It does have a lot less evil connotations to it.
That is true. Well, look at it this way: the other samurai that have similar armor that are allocated to some sort of spirit or beast is almost considered the top samurai in their profession. So apparently he's meeting the armadillo samurai.
hasn't blowed red yet, I hope.
Oh, the eyes are glowing red.
Okay. Okay. I said unless I get asked to introduce myself, I'll wait for Nashru.
And so he turns to Nashru and says, "Are you going to introduce your fellows, or should I ask the spiritual person who came with you?"
Okay. Nashru will be conducting introductions once everyone gets in. Starting with
The important one first.
Sorry?
The important one first. Or is it? No, he says, do it in reverse order of importance. He says, the least important first. Because he basically seems to be challenging your perceptions to how everyone else is going to perceive it, because everyone hears him say that.
Yep, no, that's right. If it's the order of importance then.
Yeah, least important to most important.
Least to most.
Yep.
Okay, and just confirming who we've got. Okay.
To make it easier, I will switch it over to
No, that's fine. I can read them. That's fine. That's right. So, he would start with Avery. Obviously least important because he's the smallest.
thought he was going to go worse with that one, but anyway, yes.
There's a lot worse you can go.
And then who'd be next? Avery, and then Emily.
And how do you introduce Avery?
Avery is, introduce Avery as the descendant of an apparently well-travelled fellow that who many people have heard of as, and I can't, as a player, I can't remember what the name of the grandfather is, or the father, whatever he fucks up. But Nashville will certainly mention that he's the son of blah blah, grandson of blah blah. So,
you can see in his face, he recognizes that name. He's met the grandfather.
Yes.
And the look of shock on his face of, oh crap, what am I gotten myself into look is all over his face.
Well, to me it'll be the interesting factor of whether or not, what that person is like, and therefore the descent of that person is the lowest of the group in importance.
And the look of, this is the first time you've seen his face actually crack an expression besides civility.
Right.
A look of shock. But only when you mention the grandfather's name.
Yes. Okay. I will explain the fact that yes, whilst the gentleman is looking following in the footsteps of his grandfather, as far as I'm aware, he's never actually met him and actually doesn't really know what he's expecting. So, then we'll talk about we'll just introduce Dimley and his companion.
And how do you introduce Dimley?
This is Dimley and his fine companion Wolf.
He looks at you and says, the wolf is not important, or the dwarf has no plan, or he says, or you know very little about your travelling companion.
Dimley, as far as we're aware, Dimley doesn't speak to you, does he?
He's speaking common when he's saying these things.
That's right, yes. So, Nashu will switch to Tian, because like if the introduction would have been in common, so therefore people would understand that yes. He will switch to Tian and say, to be honest, I have some concerns about his mental faculties.
And
He goes charging through low-hanging tunnels in the dark.
you see Roy kind of do a bit of a giggle at the time because I can understand Tina. Okay. I'm trying to be right. I can't help myself.
He certainly got he's certainly a fine fellow with a stout heart, but yes.
I may not understand language, but I understand tone. Can you please stop insulting me and move on, please?
He says in perfect TN to you, should I get my paladin to check him over?
I don't think that would be necessary. As I say, I believe he certainly has a good heart. His heart is definitely in the right place.
She's good with mental effects in case she's suffering under the crippling curse of some sort.
Well, I've known him a long, long time, and it hasn't really changed. So the curse has obviously been very deeply affected.
Could be a hereditary curse. We've dealt with those. It is something that happens in T and in bloodlines.
Okay.
Especially if we know which clan he belonged to. Does he still have his clan dagger?
Probably. No idea.
He turns to the dwarf and says in perfect dwarven, so which clan do you belong to, Sir Dwarf?
Which clan?
Yes. Do you have your clan dagger with you?
I do. Give me a second. I think I actually have an answer to this.
I know you haven't had much of a chance to use it, but I thought I'd give it to you.
It's obviously explained why Dasher had no idea, because obviously that could be that important to Dimley.
It's not actually been said in session as far as I know so far.
No, it hasn't. Crap. I'm just opening the file. Sorry, I did,
Nashru continues the conversation in tea and he says, as I said, he hasn't been all that expressive about his clan. I'm guessing he's not particularly... it's possible that he may not even have that connotation and connection anymore.
Well, give him a moment. I can see the gears turning in his mind from here. Here's a dwarf. You have to give them some latitude when they've been given stuff.
So, I'm checking all my pockets, knowing, of course, that losing or having to surrender a clan dagger is a massive embarrassment to a dwarf.
Yep.
And I tell you, I'm sure it's in my other pants.
Wow.
He just looks at you with one of those looks of sorrow and pity on his face with the, I'm sure you'll find the right pants one of these days, but he's so sorry you can never return home until you do.
Yeah.
So you basically, you've just declared yourself an outcast of dwarven society.
Well,
Jason said that's what Nashru tend to think you end up being, because, hey, you never
can I talk as a player, as a person for a second, not as the character?
Yep.
I thought I'd chosen a clan, but I don't think I have. Is there a list of them somewhere?
If you wish to, clans are basically family units, and they don't have to be anything particular. You could be Son of Gloin, clan of We Smash Things, if you really want to.
Does Gimli actually have a surname? Oh, it's just Son of Gloin?
Yeah, son of Gloin, but he hasn't got a surname. But okay. I was looking because I thought I'd found like an organisation that he linked up with. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Clan name is basically something that is between you and me, and for me, I've left it open to, as long as you're not trying to claim nobility of any of the dwarven actual major clans, then the name is important to you, but not to the setting as much.
Right. I am of the clan MacLeod.
Does MacLeod have many daughters?
No, but he has a few sons. My younger brother Connor.
And he tells you, and he says, try not to lose your head.
That's right, yes.
Have you seen my...
But unlike some, he can die.
Wow.
He has heard of the MacLeods. Aren't they normally up in the mountains?
Yes, and then I go, mountains, that's right, and I reach down into my boot and pull out the clan dagger to show him.
Okay. He looks at it and says, I don't recognize the symbology. I guess you're new to the region.
Yeah, I've travelled a bit.
He's heard of the MacLeods, just not your clan symbol does not remind him of anything. And he says your wolf companion looks like he's a little brighter than you. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, that's not a guess. He is.
Okay.
That conversation was still happening in Dwarven, I'm assuming.
Yes, it was in Dwarven. And he turns back to Nashru and says, yes, Nashru, continue with his introductions. And try to actually introduce people, he says, instead of just name them.
Well,
after he instructs you in the Clan MacLeod and the history that you should have known about your fellow travelling companion. As a remonstration.
So, Nashru probably think, yeah, only the ones that are really worth knowing. So, he'll then go and introduce Harori as the Harori Hollison, gone.
So I'm circling the ones that you've introduced so you have an idea of who you haven't spoken about yet.
Yeah, no, that's right. So, I know the order I'm working with.
Probably the broken one.
Yes, no, but I'm thinking, I do have the surname somewhere readily available, but it's...
I know the surname if you will let me to tell you.
I've got it right here too.
That's right, give me 1 minute.
If you're struggling, I can...
Is this Nashru struggling to remember, or Jeremy?
Actually, definitely Jeremy. Nashru certainly introduces
It's
Harori Hanso,
Yep.
sometimes known as Aurora, during our travels and tribulations of the process. One that's currently under the effects of prophecy as known as the Broken One. So,
And apparently the armadillo samurai, he says, pointing towards the armor.
and then if I'm allowed to speak,
Yeah.
and I say in teen of the Kijitsu family. You know what I mean? So Kijitsu family is what Rico and me are under. So I had to double check that on the actual Martin's website because I hadn't written it down. But
He doesn't seem to recognise the family name.
and I just say, and I'll just say, I'm a protector of this group, and I just say that. So that's all I say. I don't say anything else. And I'm not about to him. So yeah.
He nods in return with respect. He says, so you now introduced your Master Samurai, and apparently everyone else is higher ranked than your Master Samurai?
in my opinion, absolutely.
Then continue, he says, in comment.
For the next person is... next in line would be myself, Nashruvisky, youngest adopted son of Koyavisky, and then my next in line, next elder sister is...
So, before moving on, do you know who your elven clan is, he says?
I have limited connection with the Elven clan. I grew up in the town of Sandpoint. I spent many years travelling before then, but unfortunately I didn't necessarily get to spend much time with my Elven family. I have spent time with the Elves since then, before arriving in Sandpoint, but as I said,
Well, what do you know of this?
My Elven clan left me behind. I've seen little reason to necessarily chase it down again.
That is fair. You've still got plenty of life left in you. I'm sure you can spend the next 200-300 years chasing them down after your friends have died.
When there's important things to be done, indeed, yes.
So, what of this Sandpoint place you speak of?
Sandpoint is a town in on the western edge of the continent of Felicia. So, approximately 3 days travel from north of
Magnamar.
Magnamar, yes. I was thinking, I knew I was going to come with Big Kai. I think, no, not that way.
3 days north of here? Gee, that's close.
Yes, of Magnamar. One of the preeminent cities in the town of Felicia, but Sandpoint itself is well known for its relics left over by the giants of the past age.
So that is good to know. I've never travelled far outside of Minkai before.
Well, as I said, hopefully if our journey comes to fruition, the opportunity for travel between Minkai and Felicia will be opened up.
Okay, so you said moving on to one of your older siblings?
That's right. So then I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head which one's technically the next youngest, Naomi or Bug?
Well, Iomi's ageless, remember?
Bug is like older in years than I am.
Yes, but I'm talking about as far as the family is concerned in order of adoption.
I believe Bug was adopted before Iomi.
Yeah, I think so.
So then, yes, it would be Iomi would be the next in line then. Again, my elder, in inverted quotes, sister, Iomi, the very embodiment of the goddess Akavna, a wondrous person and being to all to behold.
This is being said in TN, is it?
Yes. Oh, no.
In common.
In common.
Oh, I'm rolling my eyes.
And in Celestial, he speaks to you and says, "May the grace of Akavna be with you."
Guess what, Martin? I don't know Celestial.
I
I do
know.
know Atlanti, though.
He does not speak that, though. You do know a language he doesn't know.
So Nashu actually looks askance, thinking, oh, hang on, that was a language here. No one either.
So he says something very musical and uplifting, and at which point the helm on Harori's shoulder just twitches a little bit and giggles.
I go. I do that mentally. I can't do it, and I just give it a. Remember what I discussed? Let's not insult our new friend, the samurai over there. Yeah.
I will look at the samurai in confusion.
No, I'm saying this mentally, so you don't hear it.
It's the other samurai.
Yeah.
The samurai. Not the broken one.
He looks at you and says, maybe you've still got much to learn, goddess in training.
Wow.
I will say, so actually, that was in common, wasn't it?
That was in common that time, yes.
Yeah. Nashu will respond in TN to say that she's not entirely certain of her birthright.
Well, if she learns Celestial, she might learn a bit more, he says.
I would think it would be appropriate. And then next in line would be Bug, who, let's say, elder sister.
It's probably a little disconcerting that you put the hag, or the witch with the demon of nightmares familiar as the most important party member.
Hey, I haven't finished yet.
I want to hear this. I really want to hear his explanation of this one, yeah.
So let's say, the Bug is next. Explain the fact that again, the eldest member of the adoptees, the longest adoptee of our family.
So I would remind you that Sandrew is also an adoptee of the family.
I thought he was actually...
He's not in the room though, is he?
Yeah, Sandrew and Koya are both there. They're the last two. But I thought Sandrew was actually actual son.
You're taking on as his brother, which is why you have his name. Her last name is Mavasti, which you should actually be able to see on the screen. And she gave you Sandrew's surname, so you were his brother more than anything else.
Oh, okay.
So she has no actual kids of her own.
Oh, okay. But then, I was assuming that, in that case, then I was assuming that Sandrew was actually the earliest adoptee.
He is, yes.
Yeah, so therefore, in that sense, the eldest brother of the family. So, explanation for Bug, the fact that, yes, as you can tell, someone of unfortunate heritage, but who, in the infinite wisdom and kindness of our mother, was adopted and has taken her place in the family, although, unfortunately, in Tian, definitely, unfortunately, black sheep.
And so he says to you back in Tian, so that's the one that is connected to the Demon of Nightmares?
She is the one most connected indeed, yes.
Okay.
So,
no need to explain further, he says.
Yes, it was the influence of said demon that has corrupted or at least influenced other members of our party.
That in Tian as well, so yes.
No, and can my armor eyes just light up and go up and down a bit? And that happen when you mentioned that?
No, they're all nice and brightly lit right now.
Okay.
So
I do hang my hand in shame when it's like, maybe. Yeah, it's like, but, and I'm trying, if I get a look from the samurai, can I kind of do a read of perception kind of thing of what he's thinking in his mind right now when he hears that I've been corrupted by a demon nightmare kind of thing?
Oh, no. He's already been told.
I know, but I just want to see, can I get kind of the feel of what he's
Give
kind
him a
of...
perception roll.
Okay. You're not getting that, I was just trying to... Pretty shit, actually. 3 plus... 20 total, which is...
He barely gives Bug or Splat a glance.
Yeah, I thought he would, yeah.
And in fact, I just remembered I had actually forgotten a couple of people.
I know, which is why they're more important than the other people you've mentioned, which is why I've been highlighting them for you.
Yeah, no, well...
Apparently Bruce is more important than everyone else as well.
I was looking at the list on the characters type stuff and remembering that, yeah, I was remembering about the NPCs, you kept it on remembering about Sanju and Koya, forgetting about Shalelu and Amiko, who, so they would have come in for, well...
Apparently they're about to come in.
Okay, they would have come in before, well, I can put them in now, that's all right. In fact, technically I was aiming to leave my family as the most important people to me. So they would have come in just before the family or immediately after me. So, happy to put in now, that probably just as easy. So,
okay, so who are you mentioning next?
So then, Shalelu would be next. Actually...
there is Calda there as well.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. That's what I mean. You left quite a few of them till late.
That's right. Cause when you were saying you were trying to highlight them, the actual image of the party is quite blurred. So I was trying to look more at the names of the people and the players. So
okay,
so forget about those ones.
We've got Sandru, Calda, Koya, Amiko, Shailu. You've mentioned Emerus's Wolf, and you didn't mention Terry, Splat, or the Big Horse.
No, absolutely. That was quite deliberate. So,
but the wolf got mentioned.
The wolf
got in there because, hey, that was the worthwhile side of Dimley as far as Ashley's concerned.
Apparently Bruce is only the lesser side of you as far as he's concerned.
Bruce is outside, you can't come
Bruce came in with you. Well, you're basically, you can't fit into his tent, so you're meeting outside his tent.
Okay, so I hear in nays from Bruce. I said, "Can I hoof him later?" And I just nod.
So certainly Kelda would have come in somewhat earlier, because again, as someone who is a more recent member of the group, and whilst and a valuable addition that has helped to keep Harori along a straighter path.
And you can see she's wearing a skull cap breastplate.
Oh, the
Kelda, yes, made out of your skulls. You've had plenty of skulls. She's made almost full plate armor out of your skull caps.
I want to say something to Nashru right now, but I'm just going, yeah, whatever.
And talk about this. She's also travelling with us, representing the not Scald.
Scald is the language. I think it's not Kalashite. I don't think that's right.
The Scald are the bard type stuff. But yes, so basically the ruler of the lands of the Linorm Kings. So, I say has joined our travels along the way to help increase potential trade routes that might be joining all our lands together.
So he does look at her armor and goes, she does have rather garish armor though, he says, to you in Tia.
Well, she is one of the members of the lands of Linorm Kings. They do have some rather esoteric ideals on presentation. So, as I said, she's been rather taken with Harori in all her forms, and in fact, the garish armour that you refer to is a representation of that devotion.
And I give you the most strangest look you ever seen from Rory in his life. Even when he saw the mass public orgy we had in one session, and it's a look of like, what the fuck are you smoking right now, Nashru? I'm just like going.
Well, she's wearing Harori armor.
Yes, I know, but it's just the way he says it. That's all. So, I'm just going. Do they really need to know that I'm thinking? It's like I'm talking. Yeah, how well.
Okay, so now you've just described good old ox scutter.
Calder. We'll go with technically Nashru likes Shalelu more than likes Amiku. So yes, Amiko would be next.
Yep.
Describing her as a a descendant of those that left this land many, many years ago and had built up a good name for herself as a fine, upstanding citizen of Sandpoint. However, when we had the opportunity when she heard of our caravan route and plans to travel back across to the lands of Tian and Minkai, she requested to accompany us to see if she could rediscover her heritage.
And she gives a nice bow to him. Very much in the Minkai tradition. She's been practicing.
Shalalu, again, a fellow member of the Elven tribes. However, I've known her much more as a protector and stalwart defender of the land of Sandpoint, protecting it from the evil attempts of goblins living in nearby swamps to ensure the town and the caravan routes remain safe along the road.
Well, that is a worthy thing. We did manage to wipe out all goblin kind from this region. Apparently, the only had ways of influencing goblins to their desires.
And very good too. You say goblins, nasty creatures.
Apparently, very good at going evil. And plus, would you really want a traveling companion that will look at you as a meal on wheels? Or horses, as that case may be.
Yes.
Most goblinoids eat people.
Oh, no, that's fair. Thanks.
Okay, so...
It's certainly not someone I travel with voluntarily, and hey, we could say, I can claim to have removed a few from the boundaries around Sandpoint myself. So,
Shailu just nods in return and says, and do you know which clan Shailu belongs to?
Again, I have not been particularly concerned as to her heritage. She tends to be somewhat reticent to describe her history and activities, and I felt no need to pry.
Keep putting it off and I'll find out for you there.
Apparently, Harori's got his hand up. Me, I can do that.
Hang on, I saw it up on the website. I just got to find it. Hang on. I had the page up with everyone's background, so hang on.
So Harori may actually remember.
Sorry.
Nashu's going to continue on anyway.
Continue on.
So you continue on. Who is the next person you describe?
So the next person would be Sandrew as the leader of the caravan, and therefore of prime importance to this group. Again, a long upstanding citizen of Sandpoint who has brought wealth and prosperity to the region by providing goods and services across the whole of Russia.
And he gives a flourish better than a Miko.
Mm-hmm. And finally, our most honoured personage present is, of course, our grandmother, Koya, who, again, has supported and provided spiritual guidance in the name of Desna to the caravan to ensure its safe travel and traverses across the many dangers and travails that we faced.
Okay, and he basically speaks to her in common, offering her basically saying a greeting, a common Desnian greeting.
Mm-hmm.
Because Desna does translate between many nations of Galarian.
Well, as I say, we've certainly seen evidence of Desna up north coming into TN, so I was certainly confident that Desna would be there. I mean, certainly if Desna was known by another name, I figure there's a fair chance that Nashu could be aware of that one with the religion of 32, as particularly since he's also, as I say, a Desnian follower himself. So.
Well, what you do know is the Desnian religion has pretty much been declared worldwide, and has been around for more than longer than Aslanti was around for. She was one of the Aslanti goddesses.
Yep.
And one of the few that continued after Earthfall.
But even more, say, the fact that, yes, has continued with everyone recognising the name Desna as opposed to having many different names in different cultures. Is that right?
That is correct. Everyone refers to the same name.
All good then. So.
No, I was going to do a side check when I rolled 2. I'm not going to go there. So.
Okay, so
Was that conversation had in character?
most of that was had in character.
Yeah, anytime that Earthfall gets mentioned, or Aslanti culture, Iomi is like actively restless and uncomfortable seeming.
And he says, so it is quite a troop you bring towards me, and as you seem to be the spokesperson of this troop, he says.
Iomi pipes up and says he likes to think he is.
And I say in team, yes, he does like to think he is sometimes.
And he goes, in which case then, who wishes to speak for the troop?
Oh, of course I shall.
I'm thinking like, did we decide whether I was the speaker in Team Land or not? I can't remember if we did or not.
You never did.
No, never did. We never really...
We attempted to have you as speaker to come here, and look what happened.
Well, I met the wrong person out the front, that's all, so...
Well, he says, in which
But,
case...
hey, you had Nashru be speaker and held for you when we first arrived in Tian for the Prince's court.
Yeah, it didn't help it that much, I've noticed. But anyway, I went...
But yes, so Nashru is certainly stepping forward as expecting that he's the herald, because hey, if nothing else, he's certainly been the one that Sandru's put forward to provide open negotiations, like initial negotiations for the caravan. So.
Yes, caravan talk.
It says, okay, so in that case, considering you have some contention amongst you, then I will actually pose a test of wits that all of you can choose to participate in or not, which will give me some understanding of your worth. So he turns to Hatsu, who has a knowing look at the samurai in the armadillo armor with a you're not gonna pass this sort of look, smug look on her face as she says, "A samurai and a peasant are brought before a ruthless daimyo. The daimyo wants to know whether a matched katana and wakazi set are capable of killing a man with a single cut. So he commands the samurai to kill the peasant in order to test the swords. The samurai is faced with two dilemmas. First, he has two swords, but only one would be victim. And second, he loathes his duty. He does not want to kill an unarmed, innocent man, but his lord has commanded him to do so. What does the samurai do?" At which point he gestures for the samurai of the team to answer first, because she's expecting you to not know the answer.
And I put my hand up next.
Well, and I'll say this in team. A wakasashi is only used as mainly used as a ritual weapon, which shouldn't be used in the death of a fellow person.
That doesn't answer the riddle, she says.
No, I haven't answered it. I haven't said that. I said, so the Lord wants to kill it with a weapon. Riddle. Damn it, I'm trying. Can you tell it? Don't be cast me again. I'm just...
You want me to read it to you again?
Yeah.
A samurai and a peasant are brought before a ruthless daimyo. The daimyo wants to know whether a matched katana and wakashi set are capable of killing a man with a single cut. So he commands the samurai to kill the peasant in order to test the swords. The samurai is faced with two dilemmas. First, he has two swords, but only one would be victim. The second, he loathes his duty. He does not want to kill an unarmed, innocent man, but his lord has commanded him to do so. What does the samurai do?
Well, he said he only wanted to test if a cut could kill somebody, but a cut will never kill somebody unless you put him further, so...
Well, he's saying he wants to know if he could kill someone with a single blow.
I said,
Like, are they sharp enough to cut his head off in a single shot? Would be how I was thinking he was talking about it.
That's what I was thinking, and well, both would be sharp enough from a Japanese. I'm thinking both would, but I don't agree in the way that.
Give me a social roll.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right way. I would have a lot of issues with this personally. As a samurai,
I think that's the purpose of the question.
He asks the man to kill him. He asks the peasant to kill himself with the sword.
Yes, but what does the Ronin want to do about it?
Yes.
He's testing the character of the Ronin.
The answer the samurai should be doing is to have the samurai ask the peasant to kill himself.
Yes.
Or to the peasant to kill the samurai.
Yes. Oh, no, that's
so what did you get on your social?
25.
25. Okay. There are multiple answers to this question. Each answer depends on your belief system. And depending on your belief system, you'll have different actions and outcomes. There is no correct answer. Whichever answer you take defines the sort of person you are.
I believe in honour, love and family based on my edicts. Even as a Rowan, I have edicts. And I believe that...
Though not answering and having no answer also...
I'll explain this. As my master's recently fallen, I have become a Ronin. I would ask the peasant to use the katana on me to disprove it. So I don't believe in killing innocents.
So that is not the that is not a answer because that's not you showing the sword.
Isn't it? Okay.
He has commanded you to kill the peasant. Using the sword against you is not following the command. You'll basically breach the... This is me as a player telling you.
Yeah.
You'll breach the condition of killing the peasant with the sword.
You'll be ordered by your boss to test the swords or killing the peasant. How do you react?
And as a samurai, you have to take certain steps relating to what you do. Giving the sword to the peasant is not one of those things.
No,
it does not fit any of yours
I would
at all.
pretty much have to kill the peasant based on my...
There are multiple ways of doing this. And that's what I'm getting at.
I'm trying to think of other ways I can do it without...
Is kill the peasant the only thing you do?
You didn't roll high enough for me to actually give you an answer.
No, because I rolled a 5, damn it. Even with the...
Would you like to use a reroll? One of the rerolls
Yes,
on the nose?
please.
Okay, so we'll turn it into an advantage, so you take the higher of the two.
33.
Okay, 33. I will actually read out some of the things you can do.
Yeah.
So considering you have a couple of belief systems, the Ronin answer is, which you've taken on, is since the daimyo is ruthless and the samurai loathes his duty, these are the important aspects of that statement.
Yeah.
The samurai should spare the peasant, keep the swords for himself, and leave the service of this dishonorable lord becoming a Ronin. That is the Ronin response to that dilemma.
Yeah,
You're not killing the peasant,
but
you're not
following the order of the master.
you're not following the order, and if you're not following the order, you cannot remain in the service. That is the trick to the answers.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
of course, the question there is, you're a Ronin now, but are you a Ronin because you choose to be a Ronin? The type of person who disobey their master is given the opportunity.
And the obedient answer is there is no way to test both swords on one man himself. The samurai should kill the peasant, then kill himself, thus fulfilling the duty to his lord. And that is also an acceptable answer.
Yes.
There are 5 other acceptable answers.
No, because I was a Ronin after I found out Amiko was my royal assist on the Kaitsu kind of line, so I would probably do the samurai answer where I'd kill both the peasant and myself with the swords, I think.
So you would kill both the peasant and yourself?
With the swords to prove that they work, yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, he does.
He starts to pipe up, that's foolishness.
He does say to you he does accept the answer, but he says that blind obedience without question rarely has the intended result. Both the innocent peasant and the obedient samurai are dead, and only the cruel daimyo remains, a situation that is good for no one but the lord himself.
No, that's fair.
He does not respect you for your answer.
No, that's fair, cool. I didn't expect him to respect for that.
So he turns to Emrys at that stage. He says, "You have a different answer for me, I hear."
I would give the peasant the sword and drop before him and offer for him to kill me, because even though I was given a request, I would not take a life without reason. And to give him proof that the sword works while offering my life at the same time would give fruition.
And he says your answer shows that you have not had any samurai training in your past.
Nope.
He says that is not a response of a samurai.
Exactly.
And he turns and says, would either Nashru or Iomi attempt the riddle?
Well, Nashru's happy to allow Iomi the first option if she wishes.
Is the peasant under the protection of the Lord?
Well, technically, he's...
The assumption with the riddle, yes.
No, Iomi is asking in character.
And
Is the protection is the peasant under the Lord's protection?
any peasant in a region of a lord is under the rule of that lord. Yes.
Dominion, whether you call that protection is a different question.
Protection is questionable when some lords are in concern, especially when he is referred to as a ruthless demio.
It's that close to changing
What? So Iomi asks, how should a demio treat his people usually?
Well, ruthless one shouldn't be.
No, not ruthless. Like, what would be the right way to look after their people?
Like any rulers, they're good and bad.
He thinks for a moment and says that is a debate they're currently having.
I would say to him, so Iomi thinks, and she says, if the daimyo is supposed to help protect his people as they serve him, but he wants to kill somebody just to see, like just for science, except in Pathfinder terms, then he's betraying his own, like he's betraying what is the correct way to be a daimyo. So I'd kill him.
So you would kill the daimyo, he says?
Yeah.
And then what?
That's it.
That's it?
Actually, I don't know that she would kill him. What she'd probably do is just refuse.
Refusing is generally not an option for a samurai. Because it is asking, this is a riddle for a samurai.
Yeah, I know that.
And refusal would basically be having you killed. Refusing a lord's order is a death sentence under samurai code.
Yeah, that's why I kind of had to. I was a bit that way.
Does that give you a different answer? He says.
I'd kill him.
And then what? He says.
I'd find someone who can do the job properly. Or, I would step into that role if I had... But seeing as there's now a void, someone needs to look after those people.
Yes.
I would look after them and I would do a better job with it.
He says part of it is correct. From a perspective of a samurai, you are not a ruler. A samurai is a soldier. They are trained as soldiers, they are not trained to rule. As part of a job of a samurai is, if he is despicable and you're an honourable person, you would kill the daimyo for being for giving a contemptible order, and kill yourself for the dishonour of slaying a lord. That is, the samurai has tested both swords as he's commanded, but his honour has also been satisfied. and the innocent peasant is spared. That would please the paladin over there because you have kept your honour and...
I think that's what I was thinking about the first time, but I was like, I couldn't work it out properly. Yeah.
Whereas the loyal one would be to kill the peasant as the Lord commanded and then kill the daimyo. You'll become a Ronin, you will follow the Lord's commands, but you still did the honourable thing.
Yes.
So there are many facets to that answer.
Oh, there is, and that's what I thought about. It's like, I knew the right... Yeah, I was trying to... I didn't want to give away certain bits of what I'm trying to do at the moment in here with the Miko. That's why I didn't want it.
I know that, but the thing is, his responses are based on purely how you saw his rule.
I know.
And you gave the second worst response.
That's fine, right? I don't expect him to like me.
Naomi will look at him and say, so samurai put honour above loyalty and protection of family and allies.
Honor is everything to a samurai. A samurai without honor is not a samurai. But there are no more samurais, so that is a moot answer. A samurai is a oath of service, and the oath comes before everything else.
Yeah, I'm
She
hearing
very
this.
diplomatically sort of says, that seems rather rigid, but if that's something that someone has sworn to, then I can see them following that.
This is very much like a paladin code. Just that you follow a lord instead of a god. And the lord's law is generally harsher than a god's law.
Yeah, Iomi is not looking impressed.
But it has kept these lands safe for thousands of years.
While I'm saying this,
Iomi sort of has this sort of looking internal sort of thing, like she's not present, she's kind of thinking, and then she kind of shudders, and then she's like nods and steps back and removes herself from that conversation.
while she's saying that, I'm talking to my sword in mental, saying I didn't want to give away what my role is here right now. Wasn't the correct answer, I know. So,
The sword is not pleased with you.
I know.
It wants you to be true to yourself.
I know what should have been said, but I didn't give away things that we didn't want to give away right here. So, that's what I'm just saying mentally, that's all. So.
And it does tell you mentally, this is your chance to prove who you are. You may not get many more.
Well, I haven't got a trustworthy feeling of this area, though, based on my first experience with it. So.
Okay, and he does say that the riddle is a metaphor for the current situation in Mackay, where a ruthless ruler is manipulating the nobles and causing woe to the people.
Yes, which is when Nashru speaks up and says, yes, which is why my answer, which would not have necessarily gone again with the honour code of the land, but Nashru is looking, I would think in the fact that, well, not only was the Daewoo a ruthless man, and therefore, in many terms, evil, he was also a foolish leader, because one should know, one tenet of leadership is that one should never give an order that one knows won't be followed. And that involves knowing one troop well enough to know how they would react to such an order. The idea the samurai might have questions implies that the order was not necessarily guaranteed. So then, from the samurai's perspective, if he's following both a foolish leader and a ruthless one whom he despises, the appropriate action would have been test one shot on the daimyo, and then, rather than wasting his own life and killing himself, if he killed himself, then the peasant would still die by the rest of the daimyo's forces. So the second sword would have to get tested by the defending the peasant and ensuring he can get out. So, and as such, regarding the current state of the land, he feels the same thing needs to be done. Need to remove the leader and protect those of the peasants of the land.
Well, he says...
Giving up one's life to do it Won't tell me if you do it, it's the first step.
He can see why you're the spokesman, but also why you're not the samurai.
I never claimed to be samurai.
This is...
As I said, I was always fascinated by the tales of Tien that Rory was able to provide and that Amiko provided from her, that had been told down from her parents and grandparents. But, yes, the concept of honour seemed to leave significant flaws if it meant that good and just people and men would then fight to preserve the rule of those who did not deserve to be in war.
He agrees. At which point he says, to see where your loyalties really lie, he's going to ask you to put your weapons where your words are.
My hammer doesn't fit in my mouth, I've tried.
And he says you can do it literally or figuratively, it's your choice, but he knows dwarves have a hard chance telling the difference between the two. So he is having problems with some notorious bandits in the region, harassing the local population and causing them trouble. These bandits have been plaguing the region for the past few months without any serious opposition. The local daimyo have effectively ignored the bandits, focusing on their own political maneuverings in the court.
Again, failing in their duties.
Recently, the bandits discovered an abandoned fortress in the hills called the Sirinu Hikiko and began restoring it and turning it into a well-protected hideout. Led by the chieftain of the Yumagu barbarians named Gangsuum, the bandits have been using the fortress as a base ever since. Indiro believes they might be negotiating with a local daimyo to become allies of the Empire. If this were to happen, the bandits might attract many more of their kin and become a powerful tool for the Jade Regent to use to fight dissidents such as the Ronin camp that you are currently in.
So you are definitely opposed to the current Jade Regent and his daimyo?
Well, the current Jade Regent has abandoned the Samurai Code, which has protected the region for generations.
And apparently also abandoned the local people.
And abandoned the local people. So it's the cruelty of the bandits has already left its mark on the borderlands, and the local peasant elders have pleaded with him to lead his Ronin against Gangsam's bandits as soon as possible. Thus far, he has been hesitant, even through Hatsu has tried more than once to persuade him to take immediate action. He knows his band is too small and under-equipped to face those troops, who are accompanied by a powerful shaman. They usually split into two groups. The first group is always on the move, travelling the plains on fast horses to forage, rob travellers, and occasionally pillage the local peasants. The members of the second group stay with the chieftain in their fortress hideout. He fears that if one group is attacked and destroyed, the other might retaliate against the defenceless peasants. The paladin shares his worries.
Both at the same time then?
The paladin shares his worries and says that the winds magically inform the bandit shaman about everything that happens in the grasslands. He suggests that you might be powerful and well equipped enough to take on the bandit fortress, while he and his Ronin can lure the riders into an ambush. Working together, they can destroy both threats at once.
Sounds good.
Well, certainly in our travels we had to deal with removal of evil forces ensconced in a great tower, a great stronghold.
And lastly, he's looking for an ancient treasure of his family. An adamantine sword that once belonged to his reverend ancestor, Hirabashi Akizawa. The sword is supposedly held within a secret weapons cache in the fortress. According to legend, the cache can only be opened by a true Imperial Scion of Minkai. If you can open the vault, then at least in his eyes you're worthy to follow.
Well, I confidently speak for our group that yes, we could certainly aid in removal of this threat to the local people. If for no other reason, then hey, I'm sure they didn't like trade routes.
Okay, this sword.
Did just wondering if where am I? Law 27 on T and law.
Yeah.
Did the name of his revered ancestor ring bells at all?
Yes, it's one of the famous samurai of history.
I had nobility law.
It's basically probably the person you've been modelling yourself on.
So I got 33 plus or something. So.
And you realise that this guy is a true descendant of your most reverend hero, revered hero.
So certainly, not one of the, never been one of the 5 families, but always served the 5 families in that kind of way. Is that what I mean?
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd ask him, I said, do you mean, so I explain what I know, I just say, so you mean this? And they say, and he goes, oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah. Well, that is very important then, definitely. So, just to show him that I have some team knowledge, that I might not be as dumb samurai as he thinks I am, but yeah. And what?
Do you know what forces this barbarian may have at his stronghold aside from the shaman?
Well, he will have mounted warriors that he uses to patrol the area around it. And it's mainly his, he says it should have around 16 veteran bandits and one of the sub-chiefs, in addition to the shaman and his concubine.
Oh, the shaman's his concubine, is it?
No, the shaman and the shaman's concubine.
Oh, okay.
And you mentioned that this Genghis-Khan was a one of the barbarian tribesfolk?
The bandits are all the barbarian tribesfolk.
Right.
So barbarian and tribesfolk are pretty much interchangeable in these lands, he says.
What do I know about the background of these barbarian folk? I don't know much about them.
Not much. They're just,
Rough around
mythic raiders of stories that the samurai fought to a standstill and pushed north.
Okay, from where I used to come from. Okay, yeah.
So the fortress itself is built into a cliff face in a natural cavity in a 40-foot tall cliff face. It's partly hidden by a grove of tall pine trees and is directly visible only from a very short distance away. It's very hard to find.
But do you know where it is, or you can provide accurate description as to how to get there?
He basically says follow the river. It's right next to the river's entry into the mountains.
Okay.
So if you follow the map of the Ronin camp, there's a little river, and it goes round to where it is on the map. He points out a map to you. So if I switch it over to, there we go. So you've got the mouse going around where you are,
yep.
And that's where you've got to get to.
Okay.
Just so handy that they both happen to be labelled on the map for you.
And the way this camp is set up, it's a semi-permanent camp, is it?
The camp is looks like it can be moved at a moment's notice, and if they lose anything, it's not going to be too bad for them.
But if he's talking about going and taking on the other band of bandits at the same time as we're heading towards this stronghold, is he likely to be leaving behind anything here at this base? I'm more asking in the sense of like the idea that, or whether Nashville can make the assumption that, okay, if we head down the river down there, can we leave the caravan and stuff here?
You can leave the caravan
with
here.
The expectation that it's actually going to be protected in the sense of they're leaving other non-combatants, I guess, in this location. So.
They will have to leave enough people to move what's here if they have to.
Yeah. Well, and as I say, 'cause that will then also, if we leave the caravan here, well, that gives them potentially a couple extra guards folk here as well, because...
So you have Shailu ask if you need an extra archer on your fortress invasion, or should she help those on the plains? Because range is everything when you're an archer.
Yes. Okay, certainly Nashru is thinking that certainly some members of the caravan will stay here. He's thinking mainly along the lines of Koya, Sandru, Kel, doesn't care one way or the other. He expected she probably wouldn't stay still, but probably encourage her to go off around the band rather than the code. But he is thinking that it is probably appropriate that Amiko actually accompany us. And because yes, having picked up that comment about the idea that we'll need someone of the bloodline to try and get in, Amiko will probably be a valuable addition.
Are you saying this out loud, or are you
unless
saying it in player? I'm just wondering, you saying this out loud, or are you saying it in player?
No, this is what Nashru's thought process is going.
Okay, good. As long as you're not saying out loud.
In response to the fact that Shalalu, before Nashru could then talk to the others privately about who should be going or not, Shalalu would ask if she wants to be on the open range. But, as I say, if Amiko was coming with us, then whether or not that would change her thought processes, and of course whether or not Amiko wants to, and whether or not anyone else in the party would be for or against such a plan.
Well, Amiko doesn't like sitting on her feet.
And
no.
And if you brought this up outside of the tent, away from everyone, these people.
Well, that's right. It's the only thing that
I would have said that.
Nashru's concerned is we're accepting the mission. Nashru's confirmed that, okay, yes, it's going to be fine for the caravan to stay behind without even necessarily asking about it, because obviously they're not moving everything right now. It's just a matter of who else stays with the caravan. So, and we can discuss that back at the caravan in that sort of way. So.
Yep. Well, I'm pretty much saying, look, wherever Miko goes, I go. So if she's coming with us, I've got to make sure I'll be with next to her.
Okay, I'll just shoot that certainly there were 4 members of the party that were definitely coming with us, and presumably a couple other members of the party who might be there next time will be coming with us. It's just a matter of what NPCs are coming with us, and or going with the other raiding party. So.
And well, I got a feeling Kelda would follow me to get another skull. So
well, she knows you're not giving off any more skulls but one.
Well, I know, but
yeah, and that's going to be the important one since you're taking around for it.
Yeah. And also, Kelda would be very interesting to Elizabeth Esteem. So I think she would, wherever she goes, she'd be happy. But I think she would rather be hanging around with the team. Is that right, Kelda?
Because while she's a barbarian, they're not so much the nomad barbarians, are they?
No, she's more the. She loves her melee combat.
Yeah. So obviously, Nashua would prefer that Cal stay behind and therefore add to the protection of the caravan, but he's not going to say anything either way because he's got no direct control over Cal. So Amiko's happy to come with us.
Amiko is happy to come with you. Sandra is actually going to come with you as well.
Okay.
And the other 3 are actually going to go out onto the plains.
Oh, the other people.
Because Koya is actually better in the open as well.
Okay. And Nashua, as soon as Sandra pipes up, Nashua kind of quite loose. Shouldn't you be staying and protecting Mum?
He just gives you a wink and says,
encouraging her to stay here in the safety of the camp.
You know her, if you try to encourage her to do one thing, she'll do whatever she wants anyway. Where do you think you got half your independence from, she says, giving you a punch in the shoulder.
Kids.
She encouraged you to think for yourself.
Well, okay, certainly Nash's not complaining about anyone necessarily coming with us, as I say, just surprised that there's going to be more members of the caravan out and about. So,
That's true.
but certainly recognises that Korea can look after herself.
No, I'm kind of... I'll have a quiet chat to Miko before we head out, saying, okay, I said, I'm going to be next to you the whole time. I said, I know you're going to hate it, but I said, I'm here to protect you, remember? So...
Yeah, you're also here to protect everyone, she says. So if you fail to protect everyone, you've failed your job of protecting people.
I know, I got a lot.
Yeah, giving you a poke in the chest.
Okay. Yeah, I know. But you know that you're the number one at the moment. So I said, yeah.
So did Kiro mention how far down the river we have to go, like how long it was expected to get there?
You expect it to take 1 to 2 days at most?
In walking or horseback? Or is he talking about using a boat to get down the river or something?
Well, it's upriver.
Upriver, okay.
Because the river comes down from the mountains.
Yep, true, that makes sense.
And says that you'll be 1 day on horseback or 2 days walking.
Overnight on foot. Yep.
And walking would be less noticeable than travelling by a horseback.
Yes, well certainly Nashru was planning on walking, and that's why I wanted to know that when he said 1 or 2 days, what was he expecting that to be, so that can make sense.
But horseback gives you the advantage of surprise, as you'll be there a lot faster.
But if they're not expecting us to be coming at all, how long do you think it will be before you can come across the other band? Because if we're trying to arrange for the attacks to at least be close in time, so that the winds cannot alert the other.
Well, we have things in place to convince them to come to us. So this plan has been in place for a while. We've just not had the forces to take on both groups.
Okay.
But we're such a lovely group of well-equipped people.
Okay, well, I'm sure that it's a fine opportunity. But
We'll be ready. We'll be ready in time, based on how you choose to get there.
right, yes, okay. So I'm thinking the fact that yes, we could get there faster on horseback, and so there might be greater surprise. But if they're not necessarily expecting an attack, it does not matter whether it arrives tomorrow or the next day, does it not?
It does not, but it depends on how quickly you want to get things done. There is no rush on our end.
Does anyone in the party have sending? Just a matter of interest. I got some sort of spell we can let them know that we're about to go, kind of thing.
Well, they're doing the timing based on you actually.
How long are we going to get there?
Okay, cool. I just ask a question.
I mean, get there tomorrow or the day after, really?
That's what because we had like a spell we could say, look, we'll let you know, or we'll just say, we expect this, we'll let you know exactly when we make an attack or something like that. But it's like we'll do it based on estimate, kind of thing. So, well, I'm going to bring Bruce, but I'm going to bring Bruce at a walking speed because having somebody on horseback might be handy. So
okay, I certainly Nashru didn't think for a moment that Bruce would be staying behind.
No.
But Nashru was certainly more keen to be generally on foot than on horseback.
No, that's fair. But I thought Bruce will not let me leave me here by himself. He's always,
that's right. And obviously, Jimley's going to be on wolfback.
Yep.
Oh.
And I might I'll have Splat on the back of Bruce.
But do others wish to ride, or do others want to walk?
Well, Avery's considering flying because Terry flies.
Yes. But I'm thinking the fact that we've got Amiko and Sandhu.
I'll be because I'm a gentleman. For some reason, I've offered Bruce as Miko's ride when she needs it.
Well, she already has her own horse.
Excellent.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Potentially, we could quite happily take mounts for a significant portion, and then leave them tied. I'm sure Bruce can look after them.
Bruce doesn't want to look after other horses. He just wants to kick the shit out of things. So,
So if something does threaten them, then he's happy.
he's. I'll have a quiet word, and while I have a few roughs and neighs and stomping, we go. As long as I get to kill something, I'm okay. I said, okay, Bruce. I'm sure there'll be something coming around. I said, oh, they just protect the horses, especially Miko's. But I'll bring Bruce along, but we'll tie Bruce up just before we get there, so we can come in a bit quieter. So if we find a place, we can do it. So.
Okay, so you go along horseback and basically spend the day travelling near the river because you're told the river was the key.
Yep. And I'm correct on the idea that he's given a decent instructions what we're looking out for, as I say, or more specifically, aiming to stop and find a place to leave the horses in some security, at least a mile or more, depending on how thick the forest is, away from the expected site. So therefore, it's I'm figuring a group of horses, everybody spot with a group of people. And I wouldn't want to necessarily stumble on it if we're getting there. So, if people are happy with that sort of plan.
Okay, so give me a survival roll to see how well you go as you move towards the place.
Survival 29.
Okay, so as you're moving there, when you think you're about within 1 to 2 hours of the fortress from where it's described, you find lots of tracks on the ground of horses and what appears to be logs being dragged.
Dragged from the river up along the trail or something, you mean, or
dragged to the river and then horse tracks along the river's edge.
Okay.
Basically, trees are easier to drag when put in water than on the ground.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's how most logging was done before boats.
Yeah, no, that was more, because where are they getting logs from, or what are they taking them to? Whether they're taking them to this stronghold, or they're coming away from the stronghold potentially?
Well, it is in a pine forest.
Yeah.
So you are travelling through the pine forest at this point.
And so we're expecting to be an hour or so away from the actual site at the present time, is that right?
Yep, and you'll want not to get too close before you investigate.
Absolutely. Nashu is suggesting that potentially we want to find a good spot here to hide the horses behind a deeper copse or trees or something type stuff, and that while that might be set up, Nashu's keen to go and potentially scout the site to see what we might find.
Yep, page 480. We've got exploration mode, so.
Page 480.
Yep, just for a scout. Yeah.
Okay, exploration.
Do people have any concerns about Nashu going off by himself to scout the place?
I don't think I'll be willing to join you because I've got heavy armour on, so I'm gonna stay out the party and get the horses together in a nice, quiet, not track-related spot.
So Andrew offers to have your back again.
Andrew hanging out with you. I don't think a heavy armoured samurai should be running up, clang, 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 clang. So.
Nashu was certainly not expecting Haroi to be being part of the scouting party. So.
No.
Is anyone else happy or unhappy with the idea of Sandra and Nashu doing some scouting?
No. I'm good.
Depends, the others may have fallen asleep by now.
Splat's giving you a thumbs up.
Silence is consent.
Splat wants to hand you a stone, by the way, too. I had to do it, Fatty.
Okay, well, in that case then, yeah, while they're setting up, Nashu and Sandhu will scout the pathway and the entrance and see what we can find.
So Emrys is still on mute if you're saying something.
Both Emrys and Grace are on mute.
Yeah, I can't see Grace's picture, but I could see Emrys's picture. Okay, so yes, you continue forward.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
So
We concerned you'd fallen asleep.
No, I haven't fallen asleep. I'm just checking up on Grace. Sorry.
all good.
Okay. But
So
yeah.
am I needed right now?
No, we're
Go
assuming that
back
you
to
guys
it.
are happy for Sandra and Nashru to go and scout ahead to see what we're coming up against this fortress.
Yeah. We'll just be a couple of minutes. We'll be back. Okay.
All good.
Thanks, up.
Okay, Jeremy, give me a survival roll followed by a perception roll. You get advantage because you're being helped by Sandra.
Okay, advantage on both of them?
On both.
Okay. Survival 34
Yep.
and perception 37.
Okay, so approaching the fortress, and it is a fortress, using trees as cover, you're able to find...
So obviously, stealth-wise, we're looking at 42.
You also get advantage on that one too.
Yeah, I rolled a die good, yeah.
Okay, you are shown that with the help of Sandru and you working together, that the fortress itself has 2 lookouts
Okay.
that are carved high up in the cliff. So it gives 2 big vantage points, allowing the residents to look out over the gate and give them warning of people coming. So you need to be very careful about those ones.
Mm-hmm. Does it look like there's potentially a pathway up towards the entrance where it may be possible to not be seen? Or you have to be especially stealthy if that was going to happen, or preferably invisible?
You think that you and Sandru could do it, but not the rest of the party. I will give you a picture of the map, if I can get it to work. Okay, nope, not there, obviously. Where did I hide the map? I know I've got a map here somewhere. Jade Regent is under J, which would help. Okay, post the map folder. And apparently not one of the maps in the poster map folio, isn't it?
Way too easy.
Well, they released interactive maps for each of the locations. Okay, so I will try to bring it up on my screen for you, Jeremy.
Okay.
If I can actually get camera to show. Okay, so you can see a bit of a walled. So there's a mountain range there.
Okay, so there's a valley between 2 mountain ranges. Is that the point?
That's a cave.
Oh, okay, right.
So with a wall across the front of it and a stream coming out one side section.
Yep.
Which is the river you've been following. And so at the corner of the book is where there is a lookout.
Okay.
And there's another lookout up here that points out this way.
Right. Yep.
So no matter which way you approach this place, there is a protection, and you're coming in from the south.
Yep. Okay. Looking for tracks and trails. Does it appear to get regular traffic in and out?
Well, it looks like it gets the equivalent of daily traffic.
Okay.
So for a place like this, a fortress, you wouldn't expect that much traffic, but it does look like it gets it. The wall looks like it's made of wood.
Yep.
And beyond you can see 2 mighty chimneys fashioned to resemble a giant warrior, and a great square tower rise over the roof of a large building built against the bare rock. That's what you can see from the main gate, and the side gate basically looks like it's that the river comes through a grating, so it would be possible to sneak in through there, but it would be squeezing, which some of your party members aren't quite good at.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can I just interrupt for a second?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Grace and I are going to need to go. I just need to help us sort out some stuff at the hospital.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, guys, but thank you so much.
That's okay.
That's all
And,
good. Thanks for being
good
able to
luck
make
the
what
rest
you
of the
can, and wish you the best from
Right.
us.
Yeah, we'll probably just effectively, Nashville will come back to the scouting mission and we might pause them right there so you don't disturb
Wait
us
for everyone
before we
else
go
to
through. So,
Okay, thank you. And Grace will be logging out too, so we'll talk to you later, okay?
And make sure you get some rest as soon as you can. You sound exhausted.
Alright, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
good night all. Yep.
Okay.
So you were talking about the side gate or passage or whatever type of stuff. So you said, so it's got another wall there with a grate where the river goes through.
Let's see if I can get to zoom in on the actual book itself, because normally I try not to get the book because it. So if you have a look there, there is a side section of river. With you can sort of see a big open courtyard behind it, but not much of it from the inside. That is a big wooden gate.
Wooden gate across,
So you've
And
got
the,
a lookout
the,
on one
lookout
side,
there.
about 20 feet up, and another one here about 20 feet up.
Okay.
Okay, from the... So...
And so basically lots of forest, not really big trees, so it's been fairly well logged, but enough to provide cover.
Okay. So how difficult does it look like the climb up the mountainside might be to get to the lookout?
Well, with your climbing claws, not difficult at all.
Well, as I say, certainly, the Nashville will certainly find it very easy, but I'm thinking about generally speaking.
You think you and Sandru could quite easily do it because he helped teach you how to climb effectively?
Yep, okay. But again, it's not necessarily something that anyone, it's certainly not a toddler's walk up the hillside.
No,
So-
but you do have rope and ability to secure it to things, so
If
you
we could get to the that lookout, the others can get up if we can secure it as an entry point. So we'll spend a bit of time doing a skirt of the area type stuff just to see if there might be a way to, like, potentially, rather than climbing up directly underneath the lookout, maybe climbing up a bit further along the side, so therefore they're less likely to be visible as we're against the cliff face, and then moving across to it or down from above or something type stuff. How high are the trees in the area? Like,
they range to about 5 to 10 feet around this area. They've cut down a lot of the trees that would give people vantage over the wall.
yeah, so you can't climb a tree to look over the wall type stuff.
Yeah.
You mentioned it was sort of leading into a cave type thing.
Yep.
Does that mean that the wall actually has been built to block off the entire entrance, or can you climb over the top of the wall?
Has been you can climb over the top of the wall.
Yep.
But it has been you can't go around the wall. Give me a survival check while you're scouting the area.
36.
Okay.
Yeah, 36.
You also notice that with a bit of help, you could probably take people into a ravine that seems to head towards the side of the fortress. That doesn't seem to have any lookouts. But you're not sure you want to... Sandru cautions against walking into somewhere that looks clear, that is most obviously a trap. His Varisi heritage says don't trust anything that looks like it's safer than it is.
So, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, that's basically him just saying instead of us scouting that place, we should either go in force or avoid it.
Yep.
So these two watchtowers are 20 feet up each.
They are 20 feet up each.
Do-
So you have technically 4 entry potentials. Each of the watchtowers, the main gate, and that side chasm.
Okay, so it looks like it might be a way in from that side that's apparently unguarded.
He says that the valley appears empty, but this close to the fortress, it should not be empty, he says.
Yeah, well, at least it should have, at least if nothing else, there should be some observation posts monitoring the area that we obviously haven't spotted yet.
And there is no foot traffic in or out of this valley, he says. So either way, this valley reeks as a trap, but it might be a trap we can succeed at.
It's a trap you know about, it's a trap you can avoid.
Yeah.
Or we can avoid it, he says. So he leaves it up to you and your team to discuss, but he will back whichever option you take.
I think I'm without the rest of the party. I think the best way is up. If we can get, if couple sneaky people can go up the lookouts, get one lookout maybe. I'm thinking on the left-hand side when I'm looking at the map, because that's the one that has the river on the side, right? Mm-hmm. Which is not the clear spot. I'm thinking basically, if we can get up there and remove the watch people up there, there's an entrance from the watch tower down into the place, I believe.
I assume that there would be, because there's no walkway to get to the middle.
So I think if somehow we can get up there and get rid of the people up there, that means we all can eventually get up there and actually make a surprise entrance inside there. Because if we go to the front door, we're going to have everything at the front door waiting for us. So
obviously, yes, this is discussion when Shangju and Nashu get that.
And you'll also have the question of wherever you set the alarm off, you have to be prepared to fight. Because if you actually go to some of these areas and fight them, you may advertently be hammered. And by the way, Jeremy, the squares on that map were each 10 feet, so the viewports are at least 10 foot wide.
Okay, yeah. There's a bit more space to work in potentially, or should they get surrounded?
They sort of look like they've done the maps as 5 foot squares until I read the scale.
Right, okay.
So I reckon if we go through one of the...
Because the beds are huge in that respect. The beds are more than 10 feet wide.
So each lookout can't see each other, can they?
No.
Good, okay, that's what I was thinking.
But I'm looking at the fact that I'm thinking that if there's anyone on the gate...
They will see the rightmost lookout. So this gate here, this lookout is in view of the gate.
But the other one?
That one is not.
So the western lookout wouldn't be involved inside of the gate, is that right? The eastern one potentially is, but the western one wouldn't be?
The eastern one, if anyone's coming in and out of the gate, would see the lookout.
Yeah.
The gate itself would be outside of view, but because people come in and out, they may be seen.
Whereas if we came in on the western side, at the western guard post, then it's not going to be covered. People coming in and out of the gate, you've got a bit of a wall of mountain in the way, have you not?
You do, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's because if we can get some stealthy people up there, that means they can hopefully get rid of. I don't know how many guards are up there yet either. So if there's 1 or 2 guards, you can get rid of them quickly without hitting the alarm. Then we have to surprise them a little. So otherwise, as soon as they get the alarm, we're going to get everyone towards us, kind of thing. So
yes.
So I'm thinking if we can try the stealth way, I reckon it'll be perfectly. But I don't know. I said yes, we could. I don't know how big these guys are yet. I haven't seen a barbarian to get an idea if they're going to be pretty hard to beat or not yet. So
as far as we go for numbers, we're expecting
at least 20.
Less than 20 total.
You're expecting about 20.
Yeah, so
overall.
16 veterans, a sub-commander, the shaman, and the chieftain.
And the
shaman.
And the partner. Yeah. So I said it's so that's 20.
Yeah, so 20 total.
Yeah.
Assuming obviously Gio's numbers are correct.
Yeah.
And we pick a time when the others who actually all out and about where Gio can take them on instead of we happen to hit the wrong spot and they're all in there together.
Yeah, that would be a rather horrific gunfight for you.
I mean, all I said it's just...
At least Koya would be safe.
Yes. But as I said, it's... Who knows? Yeah, I think I think we're to have a discussion with the team next fortnight, but because next week and that's the last game for you, isn't it?
Well, there's also a discussion of which I was going to have with Emerest and Grace was whether or not we'd like to do a one-off next session depending on what people are doing
Yeah.
because of Christmas time and people travelling. So
That's cool. And Jeremy, I was going to let you know after the game. I think on the 13th we're looking.
did you want me to stop the thing?
Stop the playthrough? Yep. Sorry.
Okay, so I'll stop the
Sorry.
recording and
Okay,
then
so we'll stop playing there for the time being as
Yep.
we discuss what's going to happen for next week or for the,
Yep.
when we actually do the attack, but yeah.
Yep. So I'll stop the recording here and go.